Hello everyone, it's Crystal. Thank you for coming to tour my creative space today. Before we get started, I just have 3 things to share with you so that you can put the tour into context. First, I am in a rented space, so I cannot paint the walls, I cannot install built-ins, and I have inexpensive furniture options that I selected for this space. When I do move to my new house with my husband, I plan to upgrade my furniture. I'm trying to decide whether I want built-ins or to buy furniture pieces that can be moved around. I do like to change my space occasionally, so that's what I'm thinking about. But right now, rented space, can't paint the walls, can't install built-ins, and I have inexpensive furniture options. Number 2, I have been crafting for more than 40 years. I do a multiple number of crafts. I have acquired different supplies and tools over that time. And I say that so that a new crafter will not feel compelled to go out shopping. Take your time, buy what you need, expand where you can, and deal with your craft based on the space allowance that you have. And finally, every January, this is January 2021, I reorganize my space, purge some things, give away some things, and I have pictures of different iterations of this particular space. So I show them to you so that you can see the progress. So don't despise small beginnings, and you can slowly but surely build up the craft space to make it to where you want it to be. So let's get started. So when I enter my creative space, the first thing I see are these 3 bookcases. I'm in the basement, so that there's no natural light. So I'm going to do a quick pan, and then I'll go through the areas individually. So this cube storage is the beginning of my area. I shared this basement with my husband. So there's some cube storage, the bookcases, file cabinets, another cube storage, that door that goes to the sump pump. I'm sure you probably hear it in some of my videos. My cutting table, work table, my work area. I'm working from home because of the pandemic. So that's my laptop. That's where I sit when I'm working. My embroidery machine and my serger. And that's my makeshift quilting wall. So once again, I'll just start at the beginning. This is just an overview of my space. So this cube storage, this unit came from Amazon. It's sitting on one of the tables from IKEA. It's actually my husband's table. He was using that area, but he reorganized recently. So he said he didn't need the table. So I took advantage of it. So these baskets came from Dollar Tree. So I have them listed here: batting, interfacing, storage, sewing notions, home decor fabric, vinyl, and that's HTV and craft vinyl, adhesive, all types, wood crafts, ribbon, general crafting supplies, that's like a catch-all bin right there, wreath supplies, so I do make wreaths occasionally, and then that's my acrylic paint, and that towel on top is what I use to put on my table when I'm painting and when I'm doing my heat gun. So underneath the cube storage is just a yoga mat that I cut up to try to protect the table a little bit. And if I come back here, that brown bin on the left that has my wreath forms in it, and that black bag on the right is a travel sewing machine that I bought so that I could, when I go to classes. One time I took my large sewing machine to a class and it just wasn't a good idea. And on the left, on top of the brown bin, those are my extra baskets. When I do smaller crafts, if I'm doing multiple crafts at once, I like to have the basket so I can compartmentalize the different projects. So that's my ironing board. I added an extra layer of batting to give it a little bit more loft. The first bookcase just have some decorative boxes. The top shelf is my Stampin' Up! Products that are retired. I recently bought those red dots from Amazon just so I'm still going to use the products, but just so if I'm doing a video, I'll make sure I use current products. The next shelf, photos and videos. I have different things I need to do my photos for my quilts and my cards that I make and the videos I do for YouTube. These binders, these are just plain binders from Staples. I took some scrapbook paper and I inserted it in to decorate just so that just not plain white. So we have Learn to Knit all the way to the left, P-Touch Embellish. So I have my manuals and I have some patterns. Sometimes I do download a pattern from the internet. Then Scan and Cut, I have a brother Scan and Cut. The next binder is Empty. Project Planner, Project Diary. When I do a project and it's new, I take notes sometimes and I put it in that binder. General Sewing Instructions. I learned how to sew in 2016. I'm essentially self-taught. So I took notes and I keep them in there. And if I'm teaching someone to sew, I refer to that just so I can know what beginners should know. Current projects, if I'm working on multiple projects at once, keep them in there. QFLA patterns. In January of 2020, I started a charity project donating baby quilts to child care centers that are in domestic violence shelters, homeless shelters, and substance abuse treatment facilities for the children that are also in those facilities. I made several quilts for that project and I donate them to organizations that need baby quilts. The project is called Quilts for Little Angels, and I have a website, quiltsforlittleangels.com. And then I have these smaller binders with crafting and sewing. When AC Moore was open, they would have patterns that were small, so I would put them in those smaller binders. The next shelf is sewing patterns, commercial sewing patterns. I don't do a lot of commercial sewing. Those patterns, I would have to do too much changing to the patterns. So that's all I have right there. I don't foresee buying more. And then I have because I took the cover of each pattern, I copied it and printed it. That's what's in that binder. So if I'm looking for a particular pattern, I go to the binder, and the binder is separated into different, there's, tops, bottoms, pants, skirts, home decor. So I have separated that way. So if I'm looking for, say I want to do a top, I look at all the patterns I have for tops, and my go-to pattern is Butterick B5215. But if I didn't know that, I would go to the binder, look at my tops. So I want to do this pattern, and then I would go over to the baskets, and they're in alphabetical order by company and by number. So Butterick is first, then McCall's, and then Simplicity. And this bottom shelf is just storage. I'm big on storage, so I probably have more storage than I'll ever use. But I've changed my technique and my storage options throughout the years. So some of that is just previous storage options I've used in the past. There's another binder. It has some photo sheets in there. I use it for a different purpose now, but that's what's in there. Then we have this second bookshelf. This top shelf are some of my pre-cut fabrics. We have in these 6 bins. Four of the bins are fat quarters. I have patterned fat quarters and I have solid fat quarters. At one point I was doing 2 different points. I was doing subscriptions to get fat quarters in the mail. I was doing patterned ones first, but then I didn't like what I was getting, and then I did solid ones, and the company I was getting my solid fat quarters. They're Kona cotton, the solid ones, and that company stopped doing the subscription. But I think I'm good for the moment. And all the way on the right, the top bin is my mini charm packs, and the bottom bin is regular size charm packs. Regular charm packs are 5x5 squares. Mini charm packs are 2.5-inch squares. So this next shelf, this entire shelf is sewing and embroidery. So we have my binders, books, I have some buttons there. Just everything dealing with sewing and embroidery is on that shelf. And then this next shelf is my quilting shelf. I have quilting magazines. I have specialty rulers that don't fit on my ruler stand. Some coffee table books for quilts to get inspiration. My grid paper. Sometimes I design a quilt on grid paper. And some other quilting books. This shelf I have my rotating cutting mat. These are my ironing supplies. Those bottles, those are just Tropicana orange juice bottles. I like cute things, but I don't want to have to go out and pay for them. So I drink Tropicana orange juice. So I had 2 bottles left over. Rinse them out, put water in for my iron. This is the Elisel Smart Iron. I also have the mini one as well. That wooden thing, that's my clapper for my seams. And this is more storage. Sometimes when I go shopping, I'll see something for my next craft room. I'm renting, so my next craft room, I'll have some pretty storage in there. So I'm not going to take it out now. I don't have space for it, and I'll just have to pack it back up when it's time to leave. So the third bookcase, this is my fabric. These are cotton fabric, yardage. Actually, some of them are half a yard. I think the biggest one is six yards. So that's the top shelf. And then the second shelf, in this plastic bin, these are 2.5-inch strips. I got the bin from Amazon. This is an art bin, and it holds The company is called Art Bin, and it holds 2.5-inch strips. My third shelf, more cotton fabric, and this fabric, the fabric on the comic book boards, they're folded on comic book boards. And the fabric on this shelf, the yardage, was actually given to me by a fellow quilter. Her name is Yvette Neisel. She has a YouTube channel called The Yvette Renee. I told her about my Quilts for Little Angels project, and she donated this fabric to me. She actually donated more. I used some of it in 2020 to make some quilts, but she gave a very generous donation to my project, so I appreciate that. These are some 2-inch strips that are not open yet, and that bin is full of fat quarters that I use to decorate my space. So I actually got that fabric from Walmart back in when I started sewing, 2016, 2017. So every time I would go to Walmart, I would grab some of those fat quarters because I knew that I would be extending my decorating for my room and buying more machines. And this fabric down here on the bolts, I get the bolts free from Joann's. When they have an empty bolt, they don't reuse them. So I get the bolts if I go to Joann's for something and there's some bolts behind the cutting table, just ask for them, they're free. So I have some garment fabric. I have all the way to the right is my batting. I buy that by the bolt. And then I have some fabric, some of my African print fabrics and my wide back fabrics, because I don't use that for piecing. I use that for the back of my quilts. So that space heater, it's January, so I'll be turning that on after this video. This trash can I got from Christmas Tree Shops. It's a garden trash can. My file cabinets, my file cabinet, my husband's file cabinet. And then here's my next cube storage. It's the same one as the previous one. It's quilting notions. The ones that aren't labeled are empty or just holding something temporarily. So I have room to grow. And then there's shipping. I have a shipping scale, and then I have my padded mailers. I have knit remnants, and then I have embroidery blanks, and then I have my glue gun down there. And then the bottom ones, I don't really know what's in there, but I don't remember. But these 2 bags are full of cotton remnants from previous quilts and previous projects. I take a 2.5 gallon Ziploc bag and I separate my cotton fabric by color. This bag on the left is separated. This bag on the right, I need to go through and add it to the bag on the left. So there's my printer. And that picture is just the 2020 Kona cotton wall calendar. I cut it up to and I made some art. 2020 is over, never to be seen again. So I did that picture. That's 11 by 14 frame. I'm going to pan over. And these pictures here are also from that calendar. The curtains, I made those. That's just a tension rod that's holding that because that's concrete, so I don't have a masonry drill bit. So I bought a tension rod. I made that banner. I cut out the letters and the background with my scan and cut. That's scrapbook paper. There's Barbie sewing room on display, not to be played with. That's why it's still in a package. There's my other curtain window. Wonder Woman is my favorite superhero, so I have Wonder Woman sprinkled throughout the room. Those are actually trick-or-treating baskets I got from Walmart, and I got them after Halloween, so they were like 75% off. So of course I needed more than one. I don't go trick-or-treating, but you know, decoration. Right here, these are actually baking sheets. I upgraded my baking sheets in the kitchen, and I didn't throw away the old ones because of course there's a project you can do always. When the weather gets warmer, I'm going to spray paint them, but since it's still January, I just decided to use them now. I'm the only one who comes down here, so but I will spray paint them when the weather breaks. I have my clips. The yellow are small clips. The silver, those are safety pins. The blue are clips. Then I have Ramona is my binding baby. And this right here, these are these are washers. I got them from Lowe's, but I use them as pattern weights. And this right here, these are Alpha Biddies. I got them from the Fat Quarter Shop. I don't know if I can, there we go. Alpha Biddies from Fat Quarter Shop. If I'm doing different rows of projects, I need to mark them and I clip them on. I also collect coffee mugs. I have a lot more, but I'm leaving them in. These were already out, but I have other ones that are still packed away for my next room. So, sump pump. It's my Dyson vacuum, which is fantastic. More storage down here. Don't have anywhere to put them. I have this drawer unit. This is the Sterilite 3-drawer. I have 3 of those down here. This particular one holds my paper crafting supplies. So this entire table is paper crafting. I joined Stampin' Up! As a demonstrator in August of 2020, but before that I had my own stash of pretty paper. I have my paper pumpkin subscription. That's how I started with Stampin' Up. I have my dies and my embossing folders in this yellow basket. The smaller basket, those are just scraps if I need a scrap of paper really quickly. I have my stamps and my embellishments. This embellishment storage is a new phenomenon. I have embellishments just in the drawer, so I wasn't really using them. But I created this system recently, so that's good. These 2 baskets that are stacked are current stamp sets. This is the Anna Griffith Impress. It's a electronic embossing and die cutting machine. I bought this back in May from HSN, May 2020. There's some more stamps I use. I use those most often, so that's why they're closest to my space. There's my paper trimmer. These are my punches, my Stampin' Up! Punches. Follow Your Dream, that's a chalkboard. This is my organizer for my ink pads. And these are how I keep my blocks. This is just a desk organizer I got from Amazon. These are my Stampin' Blends. I have the entire collection. Some adhesive, some other general crafting supplies. It's my Archon mount right there. I keep it here because I don't have anywhere else to put it, and it's not really in the way. It's not that big. And just to counterbalance the weight, I have an 8-pound weight on there. I have the attachment for the iPad because originally this entire paper crafting setup was on the table where my embroidery machine and my serger are. You'll see that in a minute. This is an 8-foot folding table. Got it from Walmart, I believe. Inexpensive options. So when I started doing my Facebook Lives every Sunday, I was sitting over where my serger is. So I needed to monitor the comments. So that's why I bought the attachment for the iPad. But now, since I'm over here, here's my laptop. This is where I work. That's my dress form. I've had that since 2011, I believe. And that sign says quilt. You can't see it because of the light bulb. But it makes me think of a quilt because all of the letters have different backgrounds. I made that. I got board from Lowe's, painted it, teacup holders from Walmart, and the letters themselves came from Michael. They were on clearance. I think I paid $1/4 for each letter. So there's my dress form. I went to Brown University, so I put that t-shirt. I will never wear that t-shirt again. I wore it to death, but it still has a use. So I put that on the dress form to protect it from dust. Have my bulletin board here. It's mostly for show. Only thing that's useful on the bulletin board is the calendar. Everything else is just, memorabilia, just things I like. In 2021, I will be doing a lot more Zoom meetings. So I recently purchased this ring light. So today is the 9th, and I think I've had Zoom about 5 times this month already. So I knew I would get a lot of use out of it. But I sit here for work. It's a pillow. I made this pillowcase, but the fabric from Joann's, I believe. So that's my desk. Nothing special about the desk. Oh, yes. I have another Barbie item. In 2019, the career of the year was a judge. I'm a lawyer, so of course I had to buy that black Barbie. Sigma Gamma Rho, that's my sorority. That's the basis of my color scheme. Royal blue and gold. Let's see. In this area, this is my quilt I made. I believe I made that in 2017. I used my scan and cut to cut out the letters, and I used heat and bond light on the back of the letters, ironed them on, tacked them down with a simple zigzag stitch. Because I still have my first sewing machine, so that was painful, but I did it. So that is a prominent part. Everything on the walls is based around, and all my decorations are based around this quilt. This quilt goes up first, and then everything else goes around it. So this is my embroidery machine. It's the Brother NQ 1400E. I got this in October 2018. It has a hoop size of 6x10. That's the largest hoop. I previously did a video. If you're interested in learning how to do machine embroidery, the supplies you need. This is not a beginner machine, quote unquote. You can get a machine that's less expensive and has a smaller hoop, a 4x4. But I did my research, and I actually bought this machine at the end of October 2018. So I've had it a little over 2 years, and it has served me well. Behind the machine, Craftsy. The original Craftsy went to Blueprint. Now it's back to Craftsy, but the original Craftsy would sell DVDs. That's why I have a DVD player over by the television for these DVDs. In this basket, this is my P-Touch Embellish machine. It prints on ribbon. It's a label maker, but it also prints on ribbon. So that's why it was a gift, but that's why I was looking at it to begin with. This is an 8-foot table. This is my brother's scan and cut. This is actually my second scan and cut. This is the SDX 125. I use it often. I do a lot of crafting just generally. So that's my scan and cut. This is my laminator. I don't have a cover for it yet. I have a cover for all my machines, But since I'm doing the tour, I uncovered everything so it'd be easily accessible. But this is my laminator. Amazon Basics. It's super quiet. I was not expecting it. When I first got the machine, I used it and I made a video for someone who was also looking for a laminator. And I put the laminator on my cutting table, laminated something, and you couldn't even hear the laminator, but you could hear my loud clock tick-tocking. I don't know if you can hear it now, but that clock is quite loud. On the left, we have our laminating sheets, and I bought extras. The ones in the plastic came with the laminator. Then I bought extras from Amazon. And this basket here on the right, these are my scan and cut supplies. I usually move my scan and cut to my cutting table when I'm working on it, just for ease of use. And my last thing on this table, this is my serger. This was a birthday gift. This is the Brother 1034DX serger. I have it set up to do a 3-thread narrow serger. I have it set up for 3-thread narrow. So if you have a serger, you know what that means. And then I have some candy back there my husband gave me. And I need to keep it out because I'll forget it. If I put it away in a drawer, I won't eat it. So out of sight, out of mind. And these are art lights. You've seen them around the room. I've gotten them. I have 6 of them. 2 came from Tuesday Morning, but the other 4 came from Joann's. So I only buy them when they're on sale. And this is my makeshift quilting wall. When I get my next space, I hope to have a long arm quilting machine, and I hope to have a wall where I can make an actual quilting wall. This is just a cardboard I got from Walmart. They call it a cutting board, but I wouldn't use a rotary cutter on it. The board is about 36 by 55, and I have the batting on it by binder clips. So that's the perimeter of the room. So now we'll go to my cutting table. This table, these are 2 tables, 6 by 6 folding tables, and they're on bed risers. So I'll show you right here. They're on bed risers. I got the bed risers from Walmart. And I just got this box from Amazon. You see there's storage under this table. I'm trying to hide the storage. There's another Sterilite drawers. The top drawer has my thread. The second drawer has my heat and bond. I buy my heat and bond light by the bolt. And then the bottom drawer is just tools and other, it's sort of like a junk drawer. And then this drawer over here, this has my embroidery supplies, my serger supplies, and some other sewing, like my garment sewing supplies are in the bottom drawer. And for my paper crafting, that is just a document box. And I bought hanging file folders, and I don't have any space in my file cabinet, and I don't have space for a different type of paper storage. So that's how I store my cardstock. And those are some of my quilts for Little Angels project. They stay there until I have an organization to donate them to. So this table, 2 6-foot folding tables, they're on bed risers. So if you have a folding table, you need to have this type of leg in order to take advantage of a bed riser. There's another type of leg, sort of flat, and there's the leg is straight down, and then there's a perpendicular piece that holds the legs together. That's not good for the bed risers. So you need the Costco table, COSCO. That's the best type of table for the bed risers. So this is my sewing machine. This is the Brother Dream Creator 2400. I got this at the end of October 2018 as well. The thread stand is an optional accessory. I buy Aurifil thread, and I use white most of the time. And I buy the white by the cone, since I use that most often. And I just did a project using yellow thread, so that's why the yellow is up there. This has a 13-inch throat space. I have the optional table attached, and then my mat, all my machines are on mats, and the covers match the mats. This is just a tabletop wastebasket I made. I stumbled upon a YouTube video several years ago, probably 2017, 2018, and it was pretty straightforward, so I made it. See, these are projects that are they're in motion right now. They have this is some strips, and this is my binding for a baby quilt for my Quilts for Little Angels project. So is this. And the blue, that's binding left over from a project I already did, but I don't know where to put it without it getting lost, so I just keep it there. And then I have an embroidery project in motion, and this is just, I've already cut my stabilizer so that it's ready. So that's what that is. This blue basket, this is for mask making. I took a break from mask making in September 2020 so that I could do my holiday projects. So far I've sewn 725 masks. I'm going to finish this group of fabric, and then take it from there. But I needed to get going on my holiday project, so I had to put that aside. But it's all together in my basket. That's my system. This basket right here is, I do a weekly Facebook Live in the Facebook group that I have. And we do cards that are made with Stampin' Up! Products. And these are all my cards from those Facebook Lives. I haven't organized them and to store them with my other cards, but they're my go-to cards for whenever I have to send out a card quickly. And these two baskets, those are for my next Facebook Live, event. So this is my main part of my cutting table. It's also a work table if I'm painting or if I'm using my glue gun. This is the part of the table I stand at, so that's the only surface that I can use. And then I have these coffee mugs. The coffee mug on the left has my scissors and my rotary cutters. The one in the middle has different marking utensils. Like I have a friction pen. A friction pen is where you write on the fabric, and the heat from the iron makes the mark disappear. So if I have to mark my fabric, I have some glue in there also. Sometimes I need to temporarily hold something together. That's washable Elmer's glue. And that rotary cutter is for cutting something that's not fabric. If I'm making a wreath and I'm cutting burlap or some other kind of wreath supply, or some ribbon that has a wire in it, I use that rotary cutter. Then I have my Life is Beautiful, my coasters around the room. And finally, I have this yellow fabric came from Walmart. I bought it online. This is Walmart sells Waverly fabric. I bought it to hide all of the storage. There's a lot of storage going on under that table. If you see the previous pictures from the previous iterations of my room, you'll see all the storage boxes, and I was sick of seeing those boxes every time I walk in to this space. So I decided to cover it up. So this is the room where I spend most of my time. If you have any questions, I will put links for anything that is still available. I'll put that below the video. Thank you for watching. Happy crafting. Thank you for joining me on my craft tour today. I hope that my furniture options, my storage solutions, and my layout have given you ideas of how to organize your own creative space. If you have any questions about any of the items I shared today, feel free to contact me. Any items that are still currently available, I will put the link of where I purchased them in the description box of this video. Once again, thank you for joining me today, and happy crafting.